Hello, brothers. Just coming to you with a very important topic today. So, Dwayne, Delbert, and Daryl, as you know, I'm something of a knife fan and have been for years. But today I want to talk to you about a specific knife, and that knife is what you're going to see here in a little bit, pretty special to me. So, first of all, I want you to know that probably of all the knives I've ever had, my favorite that I typically, lean back on as one of my favorite knives of all time is a Buck production knife called the Buck 192 or the Buck Vanguard. And it's one of the earliest knives I ever got. It's a very, very classic, almost a perfect all-around knife. And so we're going to talk about that. So you have some background and some baseline about what we're talking about. So I want to show you something. As you can see here, this is an original Buck Vanguard knife. So it's got a walnut handle material. As you can see, it's a drop point style knife. It's really a hunter's knife, and to me, it's just got a wonderful fit, finish, look, and feel. It's got the little guard, the little brass guard on there, a nice handle, good size, not too big, not too small, and of course comes with the classic leather sheath made specifically for that knife. So that being one of my favorite knives and has been for a long time, as you can imagine, I might have one or two of these. So I've got that one. I found one that is its close brother or cousin. It kind of looks the same here. And so it's kind of nice when I see these knives in really good shape and they go back to the 80s or 70s or 90s, I'll grab one. And so I've grabbed a couple over the years. So that's two that I have. Another one that I have, you can see here, this is one that they collaborated with Cabela's, and they made this one with a little special type of a blade material. And it's a Vanguard Hunter, but it's called the Alaskan Guide Series Vanguard. And it's got a rosewood handle, so that's a pretty cool version of that Vanguard knife. And you can see here it's got a little bit darker, but of course genuine leather sheath as well. So that's a couple of the samples that I have of that knife. I've got a couple more here. This one is specifically a Dux Unlimited version. So just they collaborate with different folks and they do a Dux Unlimited. This is a 1993 that I found not long ago, and it's in absolutely 100% perfect shape, like brand new when it was made. And you can see the Dux Unlimited emblem there on the blade right there. So pretty cool knife. Again, I've got several of these, and you can probably understand why it's one of my favorites. Here's another version of it. This is a NRA version of that same knife. These were made for a show, knife show in Orlando back in 2003, and it's got a stag handle with a wood liner that runs down the spine on both sides of the handle. Again, the brass guard and butt cap, and that classic Vanguard 192 drop point blade. This one is really, really special because three of the Buck family members, the founders of Buck Company, Knife Company, I don't know if you can see it on the blade there, but they have actually engraved into the blade their initials on there. I'm not sure if that shows up on the video or not there, but take my word for it. And also, it was a limited number run. They made 100 of these, and this one happens to be number 34. So 100 of these 2003 NRA versions, and this one has the signatures engraved into it. Pretty cool. Comes with a leather black sheath that kind of goes really good in contrast with that stag handle. So anyway, you get the point. I'm a Vanguard Buck knife sort of a fan. So what happened recently, in the last couple of years, I've been able to meet a couple of custom knife makers, and I've been fortunate to meet several. One who is a very well-renowned, nationally renowned knife maker here in Van Cleve, Mississippi, just about 30 minutes away from my house. And so I got to meet him, and I wanted to get a custom knife made for myself. And when I talked to Mr. Paul LeBatard, which is his name, he wanted to know what kind of knife would I want. And I had no idea really, I just wanted a custom knife. So I was at his shop one day a couple years ago and I said, you know, Buck has a really cool knife that I like and sort of fell in love with over the years. And I don't remember what it's called. At the time I couldn't think of it. But it's a really cool knife. I think it's, he says, is it the Vanguard? Is it the Vanguard you're talking about? And I said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So Mr. Paul says, I know the knife, I know that pattern, and I can make something like that for you. So we talked about the specifications. I picked out the handle material, the guard material, the steel material, and he crafted a very, very nice Paul LeBatard special for me that is patterned after or inspired by the Buck Vanguard. So I want to show you that right now too, and I may have shown you this before. But this little gem here is made with a desert ironwood handle, of course a brass guard there, and it's got a really cool spacer pattern. I'm not sure if you can see that on the video, but that really cool spacer pattern there is sort of unique to Mr. Paul. And the great thing about this knife, first of all, is I have video of it being made start to finish, so that's pretty cool. But then he went ahead and made the blade very, very custom, where he says custom made for Dave Hogue there, and he put the month and the year on there, so I'm not sure if the video picks that up either, but that's kind of a nice touch to have a knife by a custom maker with your name on it, and it's a perfect, absolutely beautiful knife. And just to show you how good Mr. Paul is, one of the very early Buck knives that I had that inspired, you know, kind of my love for this type of knife, if you put those two knives, the original Buck and then the one Mr. Paul made, if you put those knives side by side, aside from me picking out the desert ironwood handle, which is a much nicer, much more durable handle, you can tell they're very, very, very close. And the nice thing about the one that he did for me custom, I'm not sure if you can see, it's got a lanyard hole there in the back rather than a butt cap. So that's a pretty special touch that he did there. But that's presentation desert ironwood burl there, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I think I may have shown you guys that one before. But again, he's got that really nice spacer pattern that he does there, which of course the original Buck doesn't have that. But both absolutely gorgeous, beautiful knives. In my mind, it's the perfect knife. It's the all-around knife. So, you know, the great thing about a Buck knife or a knife built like that Vanguard, of course I'm going to brag about it, Hoyt Buck back in 1902 wanted to get, you know, about the business of starting to make some knives. So he took a whole file blade that he had and he turned that into his first knife back in 1902. And it was a fixed blade knife, similar, not a Vanguard type, but a fixed blade hunting knife basically. So as you could see in the knife that Paul had made for me, it came very, very close to that Buck Vanguard. So now what I want to talk to you about even more specifically is Mr. Paul enters knives occasionally in national competitions. And he did that this year. There was a knife show scheduled for him to go to in 2020. They canceled it because of COVID. So he went in 2021, just a few months ago. And he had built a knife that is based off of that Vanguard, the one that he made for me too. But he made one, a very special one, and it's got some differences. But I'm going to show that knife to you right now. And of course he does his own custom leather sheaths like he did with mine. So this is basically that same pattern of knife, the Vanguard, but as you can see with this knife, the handle is very different. This is a amber stag handle, which is an incredibly awesome material. Sometimes this type of one is kind of hard to find that quality of stag, but he did a beautiful job on that, and as you can see when he shapes that handle, it sort of brings out the amber inside and it kind of looks like flames going down the handle there. But the beautiful thing about this knife, well, there's 100 beautiful things about it. Of course, it's custom built. This is not a Buck stamped out production knife. It's custom built. So Paul enters this knife into the knife show there in Texas. And this particular knife, this particular knife You know, I said Paul enters knives into knife shows and competitions regularly each year. And this particular knife that he entered this year, well, he entered it supposed to be for the 2020 knife show, but that knife show got canceled because of COVID. So he entered this in the knife show 2021, the ICCE knife show, where the best knife makers in the country go. He enters this into the hunter category, and pretty special. He did pretty well with it there at the competition. And as you can see, there's a lot of reasons why judges would like that knife. Enough reasons that they liked it to where it is the national champion of the Blade Show 2021 there in Texas at Fort Worth. So this is a national champion hunter knife made by Paul LeBatard here in Van Cleve, Mississippi this past year. So we have a little bit of hardware we can show you that goes with that. This plaque right here says that's the best hunter. If you read the plaque, it says from April 2020, but 2020 was canceled, so he got the plaque this year for that knife. So at the stockyards there at Fort Worth, Texas, they have the Knife Makers Guild ICCE Knife Show, and Paul's entry this year was the national champion, and I'm holding it right here. So this knife right here, the national championship knife from that knife show, I bought it, and I'm pretty excited to have it. There's a lot of great things about this knife. Number one, it's fashioned after, like I said, that buck Vanguard. That's one of my favorite knives of all time, so that's a little cool touch. But very different in some ways. So it's got that amber stag handle, like you can see there with the amber sort of shining through where he shapes that handle. But a lot of cool things about this. Mr. Hoyt Buck back in 1902, first blade he ever made was a fixed blade knife, not too different than this, of course, rugged back then, made out of a file blade. But that was the genesis of Buck's knives, and eventually they came around with the Vanguard design, and we're kind of looking at that as a national champion just in a custom built knife. It's got that really nice hollow grind to it, so you know, from the spine of the blade it starts off and it kind of goes down and then comes to an edge, and it's shaped on a wheel, so it's sort of beveled in a little bit. Maybe hard to see on the video there, but beautiful hollow ground knife. The material is 154 CPM. That is a stainless steel, which is an amazing stainless steel blade material. Unlike my desert ironwood knife that he made for me, this particular version is that amber stag. It's a very, very nice quality, high presentation version. Hard to find quality stag like that. It's just an amazing overall knife. It's got that drop point classic hunter style knife to it where the blade is shaped like that and the point drops off. Very classic for a hunting knife, very perfect type of a knife. It's a fixed blade, of course. It's got that hidden tang that sort of disappears into the stag handle, but a beautiful butt cap. And the beautiful thing about Mr. Paul, he doesn't just round out a butt cap and stick it on there. He actually shapes that butt cap to the unique shape and grooves that are in that amber, or in that stag, that antler. So I'm not sure if the video shows that real well, but that butt cap is shaped based off of the actual natural shape of the handle. Very, very classic Mr. Paul LeBatard, but you don't see that very often anywhere else. Probably one reason why he can win national championships when he competes. It's got a 4 1/8 inch blade to it. A great edge retention, easy to sharpen, excellent toughness on this blade. Corrosion resistant, of course, is excellence on a stainless like that. So very, very good quality, high quality, very usable knife. I don't think I'll be using this national champion knife on anything outdoors, but it's a great, great usable knife and a great presentation knife. It's got that finger guard there. This one's aluminum, unlike my version, which was brass. Good finger guard, great spacer pattern that Mr. Paul likes to use. I'll put it up there again close to you. You can see that spacer pattern, which is similar to the custom knife that he had made for me. Just really, really cool that he's able to kind of stay consistent. He's got a brass guard on mine, as you can see, but on that one it's a aluminum guard, and again his classic spacer pattern like he had done for my original, and then like he did for this one for a national championship entry. Excellent grip. So if you've got a stag handle like that, it's got just some grooves or knobs. They're all a little different, but good grip. You're not going to slip down if you're cutting into something, and it's also not going to come out of your hand very easily. It's a beautiful, good, solid, hard material. And of course, he makes a custom sheath for all of his knives, and that's a great thing. So this sheath goes with this knife with this sheath, and no other. And he does that all hand stitched, handmade. And the great thing about that leather is he does a wet fit on it with a special hot wax formula. So when you put that blade into that sheath, it's not just loose in there. You've got to kind of push it. I want you to hear this. So again, as you can see, when Paul builds a knife, that sheath goes along with it. It's just a perfect fit. On this one, he put his little deer stamp on the sheath, which is super cool. And then another thing about his knives, they have all got his classic LeBatard signature stamp on there. And then each one has a serial number. You can see this one is number 2608. I'm not sure if you can actually see that, but 2608. And then on his sheath, he also has LeBatard and then 2608. So knife matches the sheath perfectly, goes to it, and again, you just can't beat a knife that pops in and out of a sheath like that. You'll never have it fall out because it's custom built and wet formed, and it can go on your belt with a little belt loop there. So perfect. It's just absolute perfection. And the beautiful thing is I just couldn't get enough of this knife. I had to buy it. It's an award-winning champion knife. It's beautiful from point to butt cap, top to bottom, in every possible way. I just can't think of a better knife. And it's based off of my favorite, pattern of knife, that Buck Vanguard. So I had a very, very special request from Mr. Paul. I said, Mr. Paul, I love this knife. I want to have a picture with you and the knife and the sign, the award winner sign. And he honored that. He allowed me to get a picture, and I went and took it a step further. I said, Mr. Paul, I need 3 more of this knife. I have to have 3 more of these. My brother Dwayne, my brother Delbert, my brother Daryl have got to have one of these in 2021 for their birthday. And so each of you is going to receive this exact knife make. Now, of course, the stag will be different on each knife because these are very high quality presentation stag. He wasn't sure he could find 3 more to make the, it's got to be about that size and everything for this particular blade pattern. But Mr. Paul came through beautifully. And you guys are now the proud owners, by the time you've seen this video, the proud owners of a knife built that, if any of those 3 were submitted into the 2021 ICCE Knife Makers Guild show in Texas, they also would be the national champion. He took all the same amount of time and the care into hand building that knife. It's an exact copy, really, as best as it can be, with an individual handmade knife to include, amber stag material, which he was able to find, and it's absolutely beautiful. So anyway, just wanted to review the knife, show you guys the knife, and also wish you a very, very happy 2021 birthday. Perfect timing for Daryl and then Dwayne, and for Delbert a little bit late, but Mr. Paul had to do some long days and long hours getting these custom knives done, not to mention all the other knives he's trying to build. So just wanted to review that for you, show it to you. Again, once again, an absolutely perfect in every way knife. And we all 4 have the same one now, which is super cool. So hope you like the video. Hope you really like your knife. Again, it is a one of a kind. It's very, very beautiful, very special to me. And I thought I really, really need to get one of these for each of you guys. So we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, in the future. But really hope you enjoy your knife. Take care of it, and we will be talking soon. Love you guys. Happy birthday again.